Coming up, are today's high school graduates ready to enter college and join the 21st century workforce? We'll explore college and career readiness with a panel of higher education experts. Plus, find out how dual enrollment programs can help local students prepare for and succeed in college. Next on Around Prince George's.
Welcome to this edition of Around Prince George's. I'm Charlene Dukes, president of Prince George's Community College. What does it mean for a high school graduate to be college ready? And what are some of the issues related to preparing all students to enter and succeed in college?
Local students on a tour of Prince George's Community College are eager to see the campus and classrooms. But when they graduate high school, will they be prepared for college-level work? A growing number of students in the U.S. lack the core academic skills they need to succeed in college. According to a national ACT survey, only 26% of college instructors say that students were well or very well prepared for first-year courses. When students enter college, they take placement exams. Low scores in these tests often require developmental courses to make up for weaknesses in English or math. Not only does that extend the time it takes to complete their degrees, but it may discourage some students from continuing their education, which leaves them unprepared for the workforce. President Obama has emphasized the need for all high school students to be college and career ready by 2020. In response, all education stakeholders from K-12 to higher education are working hard to reach that goal.
I've invited two experts in higher education to sit down with me to discuss college readiness and completion. Dr. Walter Bumpus, President and CEO of the American Association of Community Colleges, and Dr. Carol Gary Snyder, President of the Association of American Colleges and Universities. So let's open up the discussion with a definition of college readiness. So Dr. Snyder, why don't we start with you? We know that ACT defines college readiness as the acquisition of knowledge and skills that students need to enter and succeed in college. What do you think about that definition?
Well, I think when we talk about college readiness, we really have to keep our eyes on the long-term goals. And the long-term goal of going to school and college is to prepare students simultaneously for success in work, contribution as citizens, and the pursuit of their own goals for a meaningful life. So we really have to ask a couple of things when we're thinking about college readiness. First of all, what's the connection between school and college and getting students on that long-term path? And then secondly, what kind of world are we preparing students for? I think the thing that everybody needs to keep in mind is that the world is asking more today of graduates, of individuals, than it ever has before. The economy is more complicated, the problems we face in our communities are more complicated, the aspirations that students have for their own lives are going to be challenging to fulfill. So we really need to look at that connection between what happens in school, how college builds on it, and students above all need to understand they're not just taking courses. They're trying to build a portfolio of skills and knowledge and experiences that actually get them ready for success beyond college.
And then Dr. Bumpus, as Dr. Snyder, as Carol really expands on that definition, we know that within the community college sector, you've been very focused on reclaiming the American dream. So what does that mean for students who are enrolled in the nation's community colleges?
Great question. As Carol indicated, and I think what we're finding is I talk to our community college presidents that increasingly the focus is really in blending both concepts, college readiness and career readiness. And I think what our employers are looking for and what our colleges are looking for, have students had the problem-solving capabilities demonstrated, and there's evidence of that? Is there an intellectual capacity on the part of the student to succeed in college-level work? And we can get into that a little bit more in depth if you'd like. But I think what I'm seeing right now is a need for us to talk to our employers more about what they want, better align our training with the skill sets that are needed in the world of work. And employers are looking for students to have both.
And when we think about both, I think about what students certainly experience here at Prince George's Community College. There are students who begin college full-time and they believe that they have a major in mind and a mission and what they want their life's work to be. And then, as we say here, sometimes life gets in the way. And really, I don't know that it gets in the way so much as that it's what we all do. We look at what's important for us today and how we set those priorities and how we go about fulfilling those priorities. But then students sometimes want to make a difference or think there's a difference between college ready and career ready. Are they one and the same, or is there a real difference between those two?
If I could weigh in on that question first, I would say that there is somewhat of a difference, and then again, it's blended. I am impressed with the level of engagement our students come to us wanting. I think they come with high aspirations, and then as you indicated, life happens. In my opinion, I think we have learned that students don't do optional very well, and we have got to structure pathways for them where they come in not having to take a lot of courses, but a structured set of courses. And in fact, I'm reading now that there's a lot of research that really is suggesting that maybe we shouldn't have students have very many options at all. The state of North Carolina just came out with something today that's really going to prescribe 30 credit hours that students have to take their first year in college. And that will, at least based on the research they have, it's suggesting that they'll have a better likelihood of success.
Carol, from your perspective?
I completely agree. One of the things we've lost sight of in higher education, both in two-year institutions and in four-year institutions, is the absolute importance of a purposeful pathway. A pathway that's well designed to make sure that students are working on the kind of knowledge they need for their careers, but also for citizenship and global community. A pathway that's helping them practice those skills that employers are looking for, the critical thinking, the problem solving, the communication. You want to make sure that you've built in a set of experiences like undergraduate research, like internships, like service learning. There's a whole set of things that pay off in rich learning, readiness for careers, and higher likelihood of completing college. And we need to make sure that we're designing pathways for students that have all those markers built into them. We shouldn't be leaving students on their own to figure it out for themselves. Those of us who know what makes a difference between the likelihood of completing, the likelihood of being employed, really need to make sure that we're creating intelligent designs for college learning and success.
And you know, sometimes I think about how did we get away from those things? Now, I don't want to date myself, but I can recall being in college and those paths were very prescriptive, very focused on what you took the first semester, the second semester. And then it seems that certainly as higher education has evolved in the United States, that we sort of give students these menus of choices, and we expect that they understand what those menus mean, you know, especially as they think about what their future entails. So you talk about structure and choice and time, and we know those are components that are very important to complete College America, which has predominantly a two-year focus. But are there similar kinds of, I think, maybe directions that we see in four-year institutions?
I think across two-year and four-year institutions, faculty and staff are working much harder than they were maybe 10, 15 years ago on creating those purposeful pathways. And we have a lot of research on something that's called high-impact practices. Right. When students are engaged in things like learning communities or service learning or writing intensive courses or collaborative courses and classes, internships, the more they do of that kind of thing, the more they learn, which is the first goal, but the more likely they are to complete. And so across we have two-year and four-year institutions as members in our association. And it's literally half public and half private. So we have a pretty big picture of what's happening in higher education and the building of intentional pathways to help students leave college with degrees and with the kind of learning they need for life success. That's really the priority right now.
And you know what we'll do is we'll be right back with more on this thing called college readiness and college completion. I know that as we think about the work that we're doing here at Prince George's, we have a priority known as Envision Success, and it is doing that same thing. How do we create these intentional pathways? And then how do we make sure that students understand them using not just technology, but I call it sort of high technology and high touch, as we serve more and more students who don't know what the college experience ought to be about because they don't have that experience in their own family background, that we recognize that you can't just leave students on their own to make decisions, and we do have to be very intentional with the kind of information that we provide to students and the kind of engagement that occurs on a daily basis with students. So as we move through this discussion, we're going to come right back with more on college readiness.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. Let's catch them before it's too late. To start helping students in your community, visit boostup.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Being college ready basically means that you're prepared to do the work and the studying that college entails. You're prepared to turn your assignments in on time, study at least 30 minutes per night.
To be college ready, I would assume means willing to start, stop procrastinating in your work.
Being able to set how many hours you need to study, or having basically your time, managing your time and knowing how much you can take in a day, or like what you need to do for that day in order to prepare for a test or prepare for the class the next day.
I took AP English. That prepared me to take English here, because I passed that class with a breeze.
I had to start from the basics here, but Prince George's Community College had helped me a great deal. You have some of the best math teachers, professors here. Basically, this is a great place to start.
We're going to continue our discussion about this college ready agenda, and one of the things I'd like to talk about are the Common Core state standards. You know that there probably are a little more than 40 states across America that have adopted these standards, and the standards are all to be about increasing rigor and relevance to ensure that there is clear alignment between what students leave high school with and what they will begin college with. So why do we need these Common Core state standards, and how do you all in the roles that you play in this venue environment called higher education, what do you think that they will do to help students prepare for college?
I think it's one of the most important developments we've seen in school reform, and it has very important implications for higher education too. There's a generation of research that shows that the most important predictor of whether or not students will actually complete college once they enter is the rigor of the curriculum they took in high school, the rigor and intensity of it. We also know that only 1 out of 4 current college graduates has had the kind of high expectations, high rigor curriculum that's really going to give them a good foundation for higher education. So the Common Core standards are an effort to make sure that everyone gets the kind of foundation they need for success, not just some of our students, which is currently the case. They're just being rolled out now. As you say, several states have adopted these. We're now working on ways of assessing them, but the key is the curriculum. Faculty development, faculty preparation, whether or not the curriculum is really aligned with these higher standards. These standards are keyed to international expectations. So they're a real jump forward for a nation that is used to being first in the world and actually is now falling behind in the percentage of young people that are really finishing college.
If I could weigh in on that for just a moment, I totally agree with everything Carol has said, and I think the Common Core state standards would be great. It could really be transformational. However, as both of you know, there's still some disagreement around the country about exactly what will comprise the Common Core state standards and will they be adopted by each state. But it points out for me an even bigger problem, and I'm hoping and hopeful that this will resolve that, and that's what I would call the misalignment between many of our states and their requirements for K-12 graduation And then with that, the entry requirements to our colleges and universities. And therein is where I think some of the problem comes into play. And many of our parents are confused by it, many of our students are confused by it, and consequently it lends itself to many more of our students coming into higher education, and especially in our community colleges where about 60% of our incoming freshmen go into developmental education, having to do more in terms of diagnostic exams and trying to get those students placed in the appropriate courses. And it's not fair to the students, it's not fair to the parents, and I think we have a responsibility to all of them to do a better job with that. And so I think the Common Core State Standards, back to your question, is a good thing, and I'm hopeful that we can tweak it a little bit and hopefully get it to a point where it's being implemented appropriately.
Right. And I know there's been a lot of discussion around students being involved in courses that rely on this common curriculum, but also looking at the sort of high stakes testing that will occur, and will occur, quite frankly, almost immediately. So we all know that it will be just about 12 years before you have a young person who starts in kindergarten who will go through the entire curriculum. Yet we're going to start testing students probably within the next year or so. And I know that there have been calls for beta testing. There have been calls to make sure that while we're doing this testing, we're really using it to provide evidence and data to guide us along the way. What are your thoughts about that, Carol?
Well, I think the standards are where they need to be. They're high, rigorous standards. I think we are still rolling out the curriculum to go with them, and there's many states that have not yet begun to really invest on a broad scale in getting teachers ready to actually teach to these standards. So I would, in fact, be in favor of treating the first rounds of the high stakes of the Common Core tests as beta runs. Let's see how students do, but let's not make this make or break yet for the students. But the whole repositioning of what students are doing in school to get them ready for higher standards, both for college and for life, it's where we need to go, and we shouldn't back off. I'm concerned, frankly, about the very recent politicization of the discussion about the Common Core standards. They were a bipartisan effort. That was their great strength. Now one party is pulling back from them, and that's not a good development.
And you know, Walter, in the community college world, students come in, they're taken through a series of these sort of either diagnostic or strength determining placement tests. So Common Core, how will it help community colleges?
We're hopeful that it will do a better job, again, of aligning our graduating seniors with what's needed in college. And my hope is that we will have to rely less on these high stakes tests. That scares me a little bit when we go to that, because I've seen so many students get put behind an 8-ball because of a test, and many students don't test well, as both of you know. So I think to the extent that we can do a better job, I have no problem with the high expectations, the relevance and the rigor of that, but I just think we've got to do a better job preparing our students early on, middle school, elementary school, for what they're going to experience in high school. But I think as a college, we've got to work, as colleges and community colleges especially, we're talking a whole lot about in our 21st Century Report, reimagining higher education, reinventing higher education, resetting the system. And so a part of that for me will be what I see happening with some of this diagnostic testing and bringing our students in a whole lot better prepared.
And there's such a role for this, not just in the K-12 arena and the higher ed arena, but it really is about business and parents and partnerships. So what I'd like to do now is thank you, Dr. Bumpus and Dr. Snyder, for your leadership in this national conversation about improving college readiness. And we'll come back and talk about college completion. That'll be the focus of the second part of our discussion, and we'll share with our viewers your opinions on that. Thank you.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.
Welcome back. Here with me is Dr. Sandra Dunnington, Vice President for Academic Affairs, to explain how we're helping address college readiness needs here in the county. We also have with us Stephanie Lindo, a Bowie High School senior in our concurrent enrollment program. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you know, we're here today to really talk about concurrent and dual enrollment. And we have a number of partnerships with both public and private K-12 schools here in Prince George's County. So Dr. Dunnington, why don't you talk about the differences between dual and concurrent enrollment so our viewers will really understand what that is?
Okay. Students who come to the college under dual enrollment are taking college courses through the community college. They have to apply and meet the same criteria as any other student would. The students who are in high school must be 16 on the first day of the semester that they will be taking a course, and they must be rising juniors in high school. They also must have a grade point average of 2.75. And then the students can apply, and with the permission of their principal, they can take courses that will count not only to give them college credit, but will also transfer back to the school system and count for some type of credit they need in high school. So if a student would take a history course from us, if it's an approved course, it could then also fulfill a history requirement in the school system. Concurrent enrollment students have the same requirements to attend the community college, but they are taking the courses just for college credit. In most cases, they don't need the credit transferred back for high school.
I think that's something that we've been doing for some time here, and I certainly know that our viewers will really appreciate hearing about this and thinking about how it applies in their individual households. So as we've talked about what it is, who's eligible for it, do we know how many students we're currently serving in both of these capacities at Prince George's Community College?
This particular semester, we have about 111 students. 100 of those students are taking science courses in their own high schools at 5 different schools through a grant we have. It's called Minority Student Pipeline, Mass Science Partnership, and that is funded by National Science Foundation. We have another 11 students excuse me, who are coming to the community college and taking accounting courses in alliance with the Finance Academy at the high school. And on any given semester, we have between 100 and 150 students taking concurrent enrollment. In all cases, we would like to expand these opportunities for students.
And we'll talk a little bit later about the Senate bill that was passed that might allow those things to happen. But we'd like to go to Ms. Lindo. Stephanie, welcome. And tell us, you're currently enrolled at Bowie High School, and what courses have you had the opportunity to take here at Prince George's?
Well, last semester I took 3 classes. I took Introduction to Speech Communications, English 1010, and I also took Introduction to Broadcasting News, which helped me find my major, which is broadcast journalism for next year. And this semester I'm just taking an Introduction to Logic class.
So what that really means is, as a senior about to graduate, that you're going to enter college with already 12 or more college credits under your belt.
Yes.
What's your experience been like?
I've actually loved it. It's helped me kind of make up my mind about a lot of things that going forward in the next couple of years, moving to a 4-year college, things like that. Also, it's challenging because right now high school for me wasn't. So it's something that kind of helped me with this final push for my senior year.
And tell me, what would you say to encourage others, your friends or those people who are now rising juniors and seniors, to think about with regard to concurrent enrollment, following your path?
I would say do it. I mean, if that's something that you're thinking about, then it's probably something that would help you. I know if I never did it, I probably would just be over school right now, but now I'm more excited to go on and do harder things.
And how'd you learn about the program?
Well, first I wanted to graduate early, but the paperwork didn't get filed soon enough. So my counselor talked to me about this as another option.
Oh, that's great, and we're glad to know that. And Dr. Dunnington, in the short time that we have left, could you talk just for a couple of seconds about some other initiatives we're working on?
Well, we have a grant that we'll be implementing this summer and next fall called the College Preparation Intervention Program, and we'll be targeting 240 students and bringing them to campus to remediate them if they need it, and to teach them what they might need to be prepared to handle college-level English and math courses when they move to the community college after high school. So that's one of the big things that we're working on right now.
And we certainly do know that a Senate bill was just passed that really will open up opportunities for dual enrollment. So what I really want to do is thank you, Dr. Dunnington, and thank you, Ms. Lindo, for joining us today and for sharing information about ways that students can prepare for college while they're still in high school. And as we close, here are a few highlights from a few special events held on our campus. Enjoy, and thanks for watching Around Prince George's. We are excited to present this acclaimed intergenerational conversation featuring African American trailblazers who have shaped American history.
Visionaries who shaped the 20th century. We then make these historic, and I must say, her-storic.
I came to the University of Arkansas to learn how to be a good doctor. All of us want to be valued. All of us want to be respected. Initially, I knew that coming to this country, that there was so much more that my family wanted for me and my sister. That included a better way of life, and that included a better education.
You can be positive and still be cool. You can still be a nice guy and still be cool.
If your life is hard and you're struggling to learn how to walk and to keep things together in your house and all those kinds of things, for me, what made it better was the possibility that life could get better, that I could dream something big.
That means all you important people have been acknowledged.